Hello everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 31. Before we begin this week's podcast, I'm just going to say it now, but this is probably going to be on the shorter end, and there's two reasons for that. Number one, honestly, I didn't do much this week, so that's going to shave a bit of the runtime off of the episode, because I just don't have a lot to talk about in that department. And number two, I actually have a prior engagement, and so I do need to get going in a little bit, but still all the same, I just thought I would record the podcast real quick and release that. And apologies if it's on the shorter side, and I would think there's no problem with that. I would think you guys are good with that, but still I just thought I'd be upfront with it right now. With that being said, though, I guess I'll dive into my week. And like I said, I honestly did not do very much. I don't know what happened. I don't know if anyone else felt this, but basically I feel like my week just went by in the blink of an eye, However, I did do something that you could say is important to my YouTube channel. For anyone who doesn't know, over my YouTube channel, I just released this teaser / trailer sort of thing. Basically, I want to start this new series hopefully soon called Forget Me Not. And me is spelled M-I-I, as in, the me's from, the Wii and the Wii U, that sort of thing. And basically in this series, I hope to, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it yet. I'm still trying to kind of piece it together. But my goal is that I want to go over all sorts of Wii games, especially ones that people might not have heard of or played before, maybe some more uncommon ones. So basically what I did during my week that ties into this is that I have a Wii U and I have soft modded / hacked it in the past. However, I don't know what happened. I think for some reason there was some sort of an update or something I accidentally installed, and it undid a lot of that stuff. I couldn't use my modded part of the Wii U for a while. I don't know what happened. So basically I sat down, started from scratch. There's this YouTube channel called GameInCanada, and that dude's great. He has all these tutorials for the Wii, the Wii U, I think the 3DS, I forget, but he has different systems, and he talks about how to soft mod them and stuff step by step. And so basically I sat down, did everything I had to do to get the Wii U to where I wanted it, and I'm pretty proud of it, if you get your hands on a Wii U, you can do so much with it if you soft mod it. I can put emulators on it for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, DS games. I have it so that I can actually play GameCube games off of the Wii U tablet looking thing, so I don't even need to have the TV on. I can just, take the tablet and lay down in bed and play GameCube games. So that's really cool. And finally, the biggest thing you can do is that you can play Wii backups on the Wii U. You can find the ROMs or whatever online and you can play Wii games. And basically what I want to do for this series, I am trying my hardest to actually find disc copies of these games, so that if I'm playing backups, I don't feel scummy about stealing or whatever. But basically what I want to do for the series is I'm going to take, all these different ROMs / ISOs or whatever, and I'm going to play games that, like I said, people might not have heard about. For instance, there's this series of games that I'm interested in showing people. I think the localization project was called Project Rainfall. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that, but it was this series of 3 games that people really wanted localized, to English. And I don't remember if they had a petition or what they did, but they really fought for it. And out of that, we got localization for Xenoblade Chronicles, Pandora's Tower, and The Last Story. And basically are these games that, it's kind of weird because if you're from America, they're very heavy British sounding, British English, the accents and stuff. But still, we're able to play them in English. And they are a little bit hard to come by, but they're really good games, The Last Story is this RPG that, you don't really see RPGs on the Wii, but it's this whole RPG thing you play with the Wii remote and nunchuck, which is really cool. And Pandora's Tower is this weird game where kind of reminds me of Shadow of the Colossus a little bit, where you're this guy and you're fighting monsters to like save your girlfriend. The difference here is that because she's like turning into a monster herself, you have to like defeat these monsters, and then you give like the body parts to her and she like eats them to like keep her under control, which is like super weird. And so yeah, like I said, that's part of what I did this week. I just sat down, looked through my Wii U and did all the soft modding, and like I said, I don't know what happened to like what I did before, but I needed to use like some new techniques and all that good stuff. But as I said, I'm really excited for that new series. Hopefully I'm able to launch it soon. And besides the Wii U like hacking / soft modding, the other thing that I did this week, went to the store and bought one of the physical copies of Saints Row the Third, and didn't get too far into it, honestly. I only played it for like a little bit before I sat down and recorded this, but it's as goofy as I remember, Like if you've never played Saints Row the Third, basically the Saints Row series started as like a GTA clone, where, it's all about like committing crimes and stealing cars and like that sort of thing. And with Saints Row the Third, that's where it went like in a whole other direction, where like, yes, it has like a gangster sort of lifestyle and stealing cars and stuff, but it also has all these crazy like over the top things you can do. Like you can earn money by, there's like this mini game where you like throw yourself at cars and you basically like ragdoll off of the cars, and it's called insurance fraud. And you have to like kind of like combo it, so you keep bouncing off of cars and all sorts of stuff to like get more money. There's like a weird little mini game. It's called like Professor Genki's, I forget what like the rest of it has like this long title, right? It's like a parody of like Japanese game shows, and basically it's like you enter this like labyrinth and you have to like fight to the death, and like when you get out you win prizes. Like it's really weird, but yeah, it's definitely it's a fun game, Like I think it's a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of stuff you can do in it. I enjoy it, and I'm so glad it came to the Switch because I'd been wanting to play it for a long time, but I wasn't really in the mood to have to, re-buy a copy for one of the older consoles. So I'm glad that it finally came to like a next gen sort of thing. So had a bunch of fun with that. Definitely look forward to playing more of that. And yeah, I would say check it out, guys. Saints Row the Third. It's like stupid, but it's like fun. That's all I can say. It's stupid, but it's fun. I think it's worth checking out. Alrighty, and with that being said, that's it for my week. Like I said, didn't really do much this week. My week just went by in the blink of an eye, but there you go. I played a game that I enjoyed, and I really set up something that I'm hoping to use in the future for the channel. So, at least it was a week that I would say I enjoyed, even if it was very uneventful. So, with that being said, I think we should transfer over to the news. And my first news story that I want to talk about is that that was just yesterday, right? Yeah, it was on the 9th. Wow. Yesterday on the 9th, Sony had its second State of Play like streaming event, basically similar to like the Nintendo Directs, where you tune in online and they stream like a little conference thing where they talk for like a little bit about like games and different updates. Sony did its second one, and it was about, I want to say like 11 or 12 minutes, but it was packed with quite a few things. They talked about and showed, it's called Iceborne, and it's an expansion for Monster Hunter World, where basically it looks like, you're playing Monster Hunter, but it's in the snow. So like, that's really interesting. They showed off a new Predator game that's made by the same people who made Friday the 13th, the game. So, that's pretty cool. I mean, they didn't really show much. It was like a teaser sort of thing, but that sounds interesting. They showed a trailer and a release date for the remake of Medieval. I've never played that game, but I know a lot of people have. Like in the comments for, like the little stream and other places, and articles and stuff, I saw a lot of people, talking about it, and they're excited for it. That's coming out, I think it's October 25th. Let's see. They showed like a little dungeon crawler called Riverbond, Riverbond, sorry. Yeah, it's called Riverbond, and it's like this little 4-player co-op little like dungeon crawler sort of thing, and it's pretty cool. It's gonna have a lot of cameos from different like indie characters, like Shovel Knight's in it, the kid from Bastion is in it. I'm trying to remember who else they showed. Raz from Psychonauts is in it. That was like a really interesting one I didn't expect. But yeah, basically it's this little like voxel, I think that's the word for it. It's like this little voxel art sort of little dungeon crawler. You know, it looks fun. I would be interested in checking it out at some point. What else did they show? Oh yeah, they showed a game that I thought was really interesting. A lot of people are not talking about it, but I think it looks awesome. It's this game called Away, the Survival Series or something like that. And it's this little game where you apparently play as a sugar glider, which is like a little like a little flying squirrel sort of thing. And it's this like action game where you play as a sugar glider and it's just you surviving in the world and gliding around and fighting other creatures. Like it shows, the little sugar glider fighting like a giant scorpion. It shows the sugar glider, I think he's fighting like a snake at some point, and you kind of see him, like the way you fight looks really interesting. Like you kind of jump and kind of like, like dash at them and kind of glide at them. I don't know. It seems really interesting. Like I said, a lot of people aren't talking about it, but I think that looks really cool. I think it looks really interesting. I'd be interested in checking that out. And finally, the thing they showed that got like the most attention is that they showed, I don't know if you would call it like a trailer or if you would call it like, I guess you'd call it a trailer. It's not really footage, but they showed the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which that has been, quiet for a long time. Like they haven't shown any details about that in forever. And they didn't talk about like a release date or anything, but what they did do is they showed some footage. It looked pretty cool. There was a big focus on Aerith. Like they finally showed her and she looks great, in these like current gen graphics. And what they said is that there's going to be more information in June. Which, that makes sense. That's E3. So maybe for E3, they'll have more information. And I don't know. I thought it looked really cool. It looks like they're definitely going for a different, sort of like gameplay style. It's not going to be turn-based. It looks more like it might be honestly like if you've ever played Crisis Core, which is like the prequel to Final Fantasy VII for the PSP. It kind of reminds me of that, where it looks like, there is some like, I don't know. Actually, I'm not going to say anything because I'm not even too sure, but that's what it kind of looked like to me. But you can definitely tell that it's not turn-based, which I know a lot of people are disappointed, but I mean, it makes sense. It's a remake. Why would they redo the same gameplay style? And yeah, like I said, it looked pretty interesting, looked pretty good. I thought Aerith looked great. And Barrett looked really good too. And yeah, so we'll hear more information in June, I guess. And yeah, I think I mentioned everything, but in case I missed something, you guys are free to check out the link in the description below. And, you can watch the event. Like I said, it's only like 10 to 11 minutes and you can watch it and see if there's anything that interests you. So there you go. Moving on, there was an announcement earlier this week that the original Devil May Cry is coming to Switch this summer. We don't know the exact date yet, but yeah, the original Devil May Cry, Devil May Cry 1, and not really sure what to say about it. I mean, on the one hand, I think it's really cool that, Devil May Cry is making it to Switch. I think it's really awesome how Switch is getting like every game on it. But on the other hand, what sucks is that it seems like I said, it's the original. Like, not just in the fact that it's number one, but it's not like the HD remaster from what I've read. Like, a lot of people I know in the comments, they seem to be like really disappointed. It looks like instead of it being like the re-release HD remaster that came out on like the PS4, like not too long ago, it looks like it's just like the original port. So like that kind of sucks. That's just like the clunky, really old one from the PS2 days. But I don't know. Hopefully, the information's wrong. Maybe there's like a miscommunication. Hopefully it is like the better version. But if not, then I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But if you want to play Devil May Cry on the Switch, there you go. Like I said, look forward to it. Moving on to movie news, the first news story that I want to talk about, I thought it was pretty funny, honestly, is that earlier this week, people saw that Ryan Reynolds tweeted out, like there was this tweet where basically he's like, oh, I'm leaking the Detective Pikachu movie. And like, sure enough, you start the video, it's an hour and 42 minutes and you start the video. And it starts like the actual movie. Like it shows the logos and everything. And then, it cuts to, I forget what his name is. I'm forgetting what the main character is supposed to be called. But it shows the kid, he's walking down the streets of Rhyme City or whatever. And then he kind of turns and looks to like the distance, like to something like off camera. and it cuts to Detective Pikachu, and the rest of the video is just Detective Pikachu dancing for like an hour. And I don't know, I thought that was funny, you know? Like it's dumb, but I just thought it was really funny. And I think Ryan Reynolds is just, you know, love him or hate him, the dude is really good at like marketing, you know, because he gets people's attention, you know, whether it's like his Deadpool like interview things, or, you know, like earlier when he did like that little behind the scenes thing where he says that, you know, to get into the character Detective Pikachu, and he's talking about method acting and all that dumb stuff. Like he knows how to make like good marketing stuff. And so definitely, you know, a lot of people checked it out, were wondering if it was like the real movie that got leaked. And no, it's just Pikachu dancing, you know, it's like on loop or whatever, but it's cute. It's funny. I think it's interesting how much of a troll Ryan Reynolds is. I mean, he's kind of a master at it. And I don't know if you guys haven't checked it out yet, you know, the link in the description below has the article where it talks about it, and it has the video, you know, and you can check it out, I guess. So there you go. Moving on, this next news story is a movie news story, and this is a really interesting one, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. Basically, it's about how Chadwick, I forget if it's Boseman or Boseman, sorry, but, you know, guy who plays Black Panther, he is slated to play Yasuke, the first African samurai warrior. And I know what people are thinking. Some people are like, what? Like, you know, African samurai warrior, like what kind of, you know, is this going to be like the Last Samurai, or, you know, Tom Cruise, you know, despite being a white guy, oh, he was a samurai, and it sounds like really cheesy and stuff. But, you know, before anyone like freaks out and says, you know, like, why is Hollywood coming up with all these like weird ideas that don't make any sense? This is based on actual history. Like, I don't know how many of you know, but this is actually like a really cool story. It says right here, I'll just read it. It says, set in 16th century Japan, Yasuke tells the story of the eponymous character who came to Japan from Portuguese Mozambique as a slave to Jesuit missionaries. After Yasuke attracted the attention of ruthless Japanese warlord Nobunaga, the two men developed a complex relationship that eventually gave way to friendship and the granting of Yasuke's samurai status. Not only was Yasuke the first non-Asian person to ever be given the title of samurai, but he was also the first black man to set foot on Japanese soil. So yeah, I mean, it might sound really weird. Some people, like, I can see the outcry already. I know some people are probably going to see this and they're going to be like, oh, you know, forced diversity and cultural appropriation and that sort of thing. But no, I mean, as weird as it sounds, this is an actual story. And yeah, I mean, there was just this African guy who became a samurai, and like, it's just really interesting, you know, like, I don't know. I mean, like, if you've, like, if you look at my thumbnail, I put Afro Samurai on there to kind of represent this story. And yeah, it's because this is an actual story that has really influenced a lot of things. Like, Afro Samurai kind of got a little bit of its influence from this. I'm not too sure because I haven't played it, but I believe there was some game that came out recently. I want to say it was Neo, maybe. And I think I heard there was like a character in there that he's based off of this. And, you know, there's all sorts of comics and stuff. And yeah, I mean, if you look up Yasuke, African samurai on Google, like, yeah, you'll get all sorts of images of, like, you know, there's like statues and stuff of him that were made to commemorate him. And I don't know. I mean, I just think that a movie based on that is really cool. Because like I said, I think it's a story that a lot of people don't know. I mean, yeah, the bad thing is that Hollywood does tend to like romanticize some things and like mess with like the historical accuracy sometimes. But hopefully, you know, here's to hoping that the movie is good. Hopefully it does tell the story respectfully and, you know, as accurate as possible. And I don't know, you know, Chadwick Boseman is a pretty good actor. I'm excited to watch this. And yeah, I mean, if you have never heard of this story before, I would say, you know, go check it out, go read up on it. It's a really interesting story. And if you have heard about this and this sounds interesting to you, then keep an eye out for it, you know? Speaking of look forward to it, I know that the first It, like, so many people watched it. I mean, I don't know if you love it or you hate it. Personally, you know, whoever's like listening to this, but I know that a lot of people watched it. In fact, if you like read the article that I'm gonna talk about in a little bit. It even says that it is the highest grossing R-rated horror film of all time. It's like, that's pretty crazy, you know, it was like that popular. And yeah, basically, you know, I don't know if it was like yesterday or the day before, they released It Chapter 2. They released like the trailer for it. And yeah, I mean, it's a pretty interesting trailer. If you watch it, there's a lot going on. I don't know. I mean, the majority of it features this creepy old lady, which like, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny though. There's a part where she kind of runs on screen naked. That kind of like breaks the tension, but whatever. But yeah, it has like this creepy old lady going on. It seems to hint that maybe they're going to give some backstory to Pennywise, which that's kind of weird because I know in the book, I mean, I guess I won't spoil it, but like in the book, he has like a really weird like origin that you wouldn't expect. So if they give him like a backstory here, that's kind of weird, but I guess we'll see what they go with, where they go with that. They show all of the Losers Club. They're all adults now. It shows them dealing with Pennywise, that sort of thing. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, it looks interesting. And the movie should be coming out September 6th. So that's not too far away. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's all there really is to say. I mean, but if you're interested, you know, link in the description below, talks about the trailer, you know, describes a little bit and has a trailer included. So, you know, there you go. Check it out. Moving on, I personally do not watch Game of Thrones. I don't know. I just haven't had a chance to get into it because it's like on HBO and like, I don't know. I just have never gotten into it. And at this point, I'm kind of wondering if I should, because I've just heard that the show has gone like really downhill. I know there's a lot of people that are like really disappointed in it. Part of that is, you know, linking to the article I'm going to talk about. Game of Thrones coffee cup mistake gave Starbucks, you know, apparently $2.3 billion in free ads. Now, for anyone who doesn't watch Game of Thrones, you know, similar to me, I don't know if you've at least seen the memes, but apparently during the last episode, during a scene, you can just see a coffee cup just sitting there. And apparently, you know, I don't know. I just think that is so sloppy. And like, as a lot of people say, that's like so unprofessional. Like, how do you not notice that there's a coffee cup, which obviously shouldn't be there, you know, in the shot? Like, that sounds ridiculous to me. And, you know, that's part of what people are saying. That's why people are disappointed in the show. Like, they feel like it's just gone very sloppy. But, you know, it is what it is, I guess. The part of the thing that's interesting, though, is that, like it says, apparently, you know, like, anytime something gets shown on TV or whatever and you didn't pay for it, that's basically like free ad space. And so, yeah, it's been estimated that Game of Thrones gave Starbucks $2.3 billion in free ads, because with the cup being there, not only did a lot of people like watch that, so like that was free advertising, but then the fact that so many people were pointing it out and retweeting it, and, you know, like the fact that it became so big on social media, I mean, that was like free ad revenue and stuff too, I guess. And yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I mean, good for Starbucks, I guess. They got free advertising. I mean, I wish Game of Thrones would feature my channel, you know, that'd be nice, you know, just someone happens to be watching one of my reviews on their phone and they leave it in shot. I mean, that'd be great. But on the other hand, like, yeah, it's just so ridiculous. Like, how sloppy do you have to be to not notice that? Like, it's really obvious too. It's not even like in the corner of the shot or anything. It's literally like one of the shots. It's like on the table, like basically, you know, mid-screen. But I don't know. It is what it is. If you want to read more about it, you know, the article is, you know, linked below. Let's move on. Finally, my last news story is about that I talked about this anime series called the Quintessential Quintuplets. You know, that was like a show last season, and basically they've announced that there's going to be a season 2. So I thought that was really cool. I'm trying to look. I don't think there is there's no date yet for when the second season's going to come out, but I think that's pretty cool. You know, like, I thought that the first season was really good. It was actually more interesting than I was going to give it credit for. And the fact there's a season 2 coming, like, that's cool, you know? Hopefully it's soon. That way, you know, the momentum keeps going. And yeah, if you ever ended up checking out the show because of me talking about it, look forward to season 2. And if you didn't check it out, like I said, you know, if you're kind of into like romancy stuff, I'd recommend it. I think it's pretty good. And there's a second season coming. So right now is like the perfect time to get caught up, you know? So there you go. Look forward to season 2, I guess. Alrighty, guys, and with that being said, that's the end of this week's news roundup. As always, hopefully it was something you guys found entertaining, informational, hopefully there's something you guys are looking forward to now after hearing about it, that sort of thing. Moving on, I know this is the section where we usually have our content creator spotlight. I mean, the closest thing I have to a content creator spotlight, I guess that guy I mentioned earlier, GameInCanada. I mean, like I said, if you're interested in modding / hacking your systems, I mean, he's worth checking out. He does a really good job with his step-by-step guides of how to mod everything and what you need to do, all that good stuff. But, I think the closest thing I have to a content creator, because I didn't pick anybody this week, I'm sorry. So, yeah, awkward. But with that being said, that brings us to the end of another podcast. And like I said, I'm sorry that it was a little shorter, but it is what it is. I just didn't have a lot to talk about. And honestly, like I said, I do have to go in a little bit. But all the same, hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. Hopefully there was something you guys got out of it. Whether it was, me talking about the Wii U that I hacked. Maybe you guys are interested in that now. Whether it was any of the games I mentioned from the state of play, that sort of thing. But, hopefully you guys got something out of this podcast. Hopefully it was enjoyable all the same. And with that being said, to, wrap up real quick, my name is Wannabe Reviewer. You can check out this podcast, either on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iTunes, all that good stuff. If you do check out this podcast on one of those platforms, make sure to subscribe or whatever, follow me, whatever you call it. That way you can stay up to date. You can find me over on Twitter at wannabe_review, as well as Instagram, wannabe_reviewer. On both, I try to do updates to my channel, post pictures, that sort of thing. On Twitter, I tend to be more about, retweeting gaming news stories and memes, that sort of thing. On Instagram, I'm doing this thing where I post a lot of pictures of the different geek memorabilia I have. I'm posting pictures of my posters, my figures, that sort of thing. But feel free to follow me on either of those. And finally, I have a YouTube channel, Wannabe Reviewer, where I do not only the podcast every Friday, but I also do a review once a week. Usually on Wednesdays, I do a review of, an anime, TV show, movie, video game, that sort of thing. So if you're interested in watching little reviews every week, follow me over there. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, with that being said, I guess that's all there really is to say. I mean, I just hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will try to be here next week for episode 32. And yeah, my name is Wannabe Reviewer, and I'll check you guys next time.